Hi everyone, I'm Tony Moore from Rock Interface. Welcome to Rock Studio One. Today we're going to demo this equipment from Exor called the X5 wireless system. So this system consists of a pendant and a base, and they communicate over Wi-Fi, and we have an Ethernet cable plugged in. So the base is communicating to this Allen Bradley Compact Logics unit. The goal for today is to show you the hardware and the software and how everything works together. So hopefully you are able to set up one of these to communicate with your Allen Bradley Compact Logics units. So let's start with the pendant. And as you can see, there's a lot of buttons on the front. They're labeled as K1 through K6 and F1 through F6, and then there's 7 dots at the bottom. In the software, those are called dot 1 through dot 7, going from left to right. We've got obviously our touch screen on the front, and you can put software buttons, indicators, all sorts of different stuff you can put on there. And on the top, we've got a scroll wheel. We've got 2 potentiometers. We've got a stylus. We've got a 0 to 15 selector switch. We've got an Ethernet port, and we have an emergency stop. On the back, we have our battery and a enabling switch. Some people call this anti-tie-down switch. Some people call it a dead man switch. All the same thing. And it's 3 position. So if you're in the middle position, your contacts will close. If you release it, the contacts open. And if you press it too far, the contacts open. And on the bottom, we've got an Ethernet port, and we've got the pins for charging. So let's talk about the hardware on the base. We've got a Wi-Fi antenna. We've got dual Ethernet ports on the top. You can set those up as a pass-through, which would share an IP address and a MAC address, or you could set them up as separate networks with their own IP address and each to have their own MAC address. We've got a USB port. We've got an SD card slot on the back, and we've got a whole bunch of terminals on the top. A particular note is 2 sets of contacts for the e-stop and 2 sets of contacts for the enabling switch. Those are all dry contact. And we've got an output for our pairing lamp, which we'll talk about more later. And the base and the charging station both get 24 VDC. The charging station also comes with a spare battery, which is the same as the battery that plugs in this pendant, so you can swap them easily. And you don't have to wait for it to charge up before you get going. And this pendant has a unofficial range of about 70 to 80 feet, depending on what's in between the two of them, of course. And the battery life is about 4 hours, and that depends on what you have on your screen as far as tags, but it's going to be about 4 hours, so it doesn't affect it that much. Alright, so let's get into the software. How do we program this device? Exor has software that's called JMobile Studio. This software is available for purchase, and you have to use version 4.5 in order to work with the X5 pendant. First, we're going to bring in the Ethernet IP protocol so we can talk to the Allen Bradley Compact Logics. So we're currently in JMobile Studio right here. You see there's a tree on the left. Under configuration, there's the protocol tab. So I go into that, and then I hit this drop down arrow and select Ethernet IP SIP. Alias, I'm just going to call this PLC. Name doesn't matter. Our Compact Logics is 192.168.0.100. Logix 5000, that's what we want. So our protocol's in. Now we want to add tags to this protocol. What I like to do It's just a little bit easier way to add the tags. Hit this plus button and it, you get figure out your folder name, structure name, tag name, memory type, all that stuff. But it's a lot easier if you just save your Allen Bradley, your project file as a L5X in the RSLogix 5000 or Studio 5000, and then you can import that dictionary. So you just hit that import dictionary button right there when you're highlighting your protocol. Select the first one, hierarchical, and then hit these little dots down here and select your L5X file. Hit OK. And now it added 184 tags. Now I only want to use a couple of these tags. Let's get down to those. Image visibility, PB1 and PB2. So I selected those three. I right click it and go add to tags. So all these other tags you can see are gray. They're not active right now, but they're in the project file on your computer in case later on you decide you want to add more of these tags. But they're currently not being used in the project, which is why they're gray. So now we've got our PLC tags in. When you make a project, it automatically creates your first HMI page. So we're going to work in this first HMI page right here called page 1. Got a little house to the side that shows you that it's a home page. I'm going to make a hard button and a soft button. So if you remember, there's these dots at the bottom. They go from left to right, dot 1 through dot 7 down here. So I'm going to program one of those dots. And so down here it says keyboard/script. So I'm going to bring that up. And then right down here we have dot 1. I'm going to deselect inherits project actions. That opens it up and lets us put in whatever actions we want. I'm going to go to the on click box and add a tag. So we could add any of these actions to this button. There's a lot of different options on here. We're going to be sticking to tag here. I'm going to select toggle bit, so it's going to act like a maintain button. Every time you press it, it's going to toggle it on or off. And then I'm going to select PB1. So this one's going back to the Allen Bradley PLC. Hit OK. And now that button is programmed. So I want to know if that's toggled on or off. So I'm going to make an indicator light directly above where that button is. So otherwise we don't really know if that's on the on state or not. Go to, let's add in our properties toolbar. Now we can add tags to this. I'm going to add that same tag, the Exor PB1 tag. And then I'm going to add a label. We're going to call this PLC lights. It's a little too big, so let's make that text a little smaller here. So now when we press that hard button, this light is going to turn on. And we have that tag tied in the CompactLogix where it's going to turn on all those lights in the bottom row when we turn that button on. Now let's add a soft button. I'm going to go to buttons, simple, and then add this one right here. We're going to call this one image visibility. Want to make this one maintain as well and hit the value button and select PB2. So that PB2 is going to act like a pass-through. It's going to go, when this button is on, it's going to send that PB2 to this Allen Bradley CompactLogix, and then the CompactLogix is going to turn on the bit, it's called image visibility, back to our PLC. So let's add in something that's, yeah, let's add our image that we're going to turn on and off here. So under visible, I select true, and then I add in my image viz tag. Now I'm also gonna adjust the width and the height with this potentiometer on the top. This right one right here. So when I scroll that wheel, the image is gonna get bigger and smaller. Let's download to target. Alright, so if you didn't know your IP address of your base station, if you're connected over Wi-Fi and you hit this down arrow, it's going to show up on this list right here. So our device is 0.10. So let's download. Now you need to enter in a password to download. It's admin123$ uppercase A. That uppercase A and admin, that is the default password. Now we'll give it a few minutes here to think, to download. So now we're downloading. Alright, so now we've got our controls on here. We've got the indicator light called PLC lights. You can see right now the lights on the Allen Bradley Compact Logics demo are off. When I hit this hard button, our indicator turns red and the lights down there are all on. You can make this indicator, anything on here, you can change the colors to whatever you want. So I'm going to turn the PLC lights back off again. Now they're off. So the other object we've got here is the image visibility button. So I'll press that and our rock interface logo pops in and out based on the state of that button. And then this scroll wheel right here lets us make it as big or as small as we want to. And now let's talk about pairing the base to the pendant. When they're not paired, this pendant, the e-stop is not going to be lit up and the lamp we have tied to that output will be flashing. So when you hit the buttons K1 and K4 at the top, it brings you into the pairing utility. And then it'll bring you through a couple steps where the lamp will be flashing, and then you have to count the amount of flashes, and then it tells you to enter that in, and then it will connect that. So the purpose behind that is you can have one pendant that you bring from base to base. So you're working on one machine with one pendant, you unpair from that one, you move on to the next one, and you pair your pendant to that new base. You don't want to by accident pair to the wrong base since there's safety functions on this device. And you don't want to cause an accident or something. So you got to count the amount of flashes to make sure you're looking at the right base and you're pairing your pendant to the right base. One thing we've suggested to customers in the past is they can tie the output of this, instead of to a lamp, they could tie it to a PLC or HMI and have the amount of flashes display on the screen. This might make it a little easier for your operator. We also recommend, if you are using the pairing lamp, that you use a style that you can mount to the outside of your enclosure or through the wall of your enclosure, because you're not going to want to open your door to be able to see the pairing lamp. That about wraps up our demo of the X5 wireless unit. I hope you guys enjoyed this demo, and I hope it was informative for you all. Please leave a comment if you have any questions or just have anything else you want to talk about. Thank you.